Hey guys, welcome back to the Modern Prairie Homestead. I'm Andrew, and this is our new to us, one owner, 1998 GMC Sierra SLE. I'll give you guys a full walk around of the truck in a later video, but for today, we're gonna start rust proofing the truck. We just picked it up about 2 weeks ago, and it's gonna be my new daily commuter. So in preparation of the winter coming up, we're gonna try and get the truck cleaned up, get as much rust as we can off the underside, get it coated and protected, and follow along. So step one's obviously going to be pressure washing. We're going to use the Rust Check Enviro Rust Wash rust remover. It's just a relatively non-corrosive cleaner, but it does eat away at the rust. I know I said non-corrosive, but it does seem to activate on rust. It's not going to wreck any rubber bushings or plastics or any other synthetic components you have on the truck. It's really just going after the steel. So we're gonna give that a good soak, let that do its thing, wash it all off. We'll hit everything with the wire wheel and a wire brush, try and knock off any of the gnarly stuff. Our main focus being the frame and suspension components. There is a fair bit of rust on the body, not bad for the year, but that's not going to be something that we're going to tackle in this video. Today we're just focused on the underside of the truck. We've already started to pull off some of the trim, some of the plastics and trim on the wheel wells and stuff. I think we're going to start painting that over the winter if I can find some time to park the truck for a couple of weeks in the heated garage. But for now, just in order to make sure that we're ready for the daily commute, we're going to try and protect the underside of it as best as possible. So we got the pressure washer loaded up. This is our rust check solution here. So we're going to soak the underside of the truck. Wheel wells, frame, suspension, all of that stuff. We're going to try and keep it off the paint. If we do get some paint, I'm going to rinse that down, if we do get some stuff on the paint, I'm going to rinse that down with water immediately. You don't want to let this stuff sit on any painted surfaces, but like I said, it is okay for the rubber and plastics below the truck. We're going to do a 2-hour soak it, let it sit for 2 hours, rinse it all off again. And then once the underside of the truck is dry, then we're going to start with the rust converter, rust primer and paint, and then finally a rubberized coating. So it's going to take us a couple of days to get this all done correctly, but it's definitely worth doing. Pick a nice sunny weekend like we've got here, you get it done, and then the truck will be in good shape and protected, ready for winter. Alright, so now that we've got the whole underside of the truck soaked, we're going to let that soak for 2 hours. I'm going to quickly hit all the painted surfaces, just the exterior of the body, make sure if we did get any of that rust converter or rust converting wash onto the painted surfaces that we get that washed off right away before it starts to eat at the clear coat. Not that there is too much clear coat left on this truck. Again, that'll be something that we're going to tackle in a later video. So we'll continue with the truck wash. So we'll show you more details of the truck in another video. But like I said, the main focus here is we're trying to get this truck ready for winter, because it is going to be on the road full time in the winter, and I'd like to not see any more rust on it than it already has. A little bit of rust on the body, but for the most part it is very good. It's just the cab corners, which are super common. The wheel wells have a little bit, and the rockers as well a little bit, but nothing on the doors, nothing that can't be fixed or replaced. So the main thing was that mechanically it's in very good shape. The frame and suspension in very good shape as well. Shockingly minimal rust on the frame, so we're going to try and keep it in as good a shape as we can. And we're starting with the rust wash, rust converter, rust primer and paint, and finally a rubberized sealer on the whole thing. I'll show you each product as we go, and hopefully we can protect this truck and keep it for many years on the road. Alright, so it's been a little over 2 hours, so now we're going to rinse off all of the rust wash and let it dry over the rest of the day, and then hopefully this afternoon we can hit it with the rust converter. Alrighty, so the truck's been sitting now for about 4.5 hours, so everything appears to be dry. We've had a nice hot sunny afternoon. So it's later in the afternoon, things will cool down a little bit. Like I said, everything seems to be dry and we are ready for the next step. So what we're going to be using is RustCheck's Rust Converter. So it's kind of an interesting product. It says that it converts rust to a paintable primed metal surface. What it says on their online description is to wash it off after it's dried. I don't think it means to actually wash the product itself off, but it implies that you're to rinse it afterwards. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna get it on. Now I'm not worried about getting every single little part with this. I'm just gonna try and get the main cross members of the frame rails, some of the heavier suspension components, the axle, kind of all the stuff that I'm primarily concerned about protecting. And getting the rust that's already on there off. So we're gonna hit that with this, let it dry, and then if there's enough sunlight, maybe this evening we'll be able to, when it's dry, hit it again with the hose, wash it off, and then that way tomorrow we are ready for our actual black rust paint, which will then, after that dries, follow up with the rubberized coating, which will protect the paint and kind of have some sound dampening effect to it as well, but primarily to protect the paint from rock chips and stuff like that. Now I'm not trying to get every single bit of this truck undercoated, but I am, like I said, trying to protect the heavier components, namely the frame, axles, and suspension components, and all the cross rails and cross members. So I'm sure that was pretty hard to see. I should have brought a light under the truck with me. But we've got the frame, all the cross rails and all the heavy suspension components coated now. So we're gonna let that dry. Hopefully the sun stays out for a little while, and then we can rinse it off before end of day. And tomorrow we'll be ready for some paint. Good morning, guys. We are on day 2 of rust proofing our 98 Sierra. We completed the rust converter yesterday. That's all dried on. What's interesting about this product, and I'm not really too sure what to do, is in the directions on the can, it says to spray on, let dry, and it creates a primed surface for you to either prime a second time with a proper primer or paint directly over top. If you go on their website, there's a small note that says you are to wash it off after it's been installed and dried. I've watched a bunch of install videos. It seems to be the best thing to do is simply put it on, let it dry, and maybe hit it with a really light sandpaper just to make sure it's a super like a fine scuff on it so that your paint or primer bonds to it. But I can't really find any reason to wash it. I did a small test strip last week in the shop just on a piece of blank steel, and washing it off made no difference at all. There's no residue that washed off. Once it's dry, it seems to be cured, so I don't really fully understand what they expect from that, but we're gonna kind of test it out and see how it goes. So then step 3 is gonna be rust paint. So this is a gloss black rust paint. It's an oil-based product. So we're gonna get that on all the metal components that we prepped the last couple days. We'll probably get 2 coats on everything, and then let that cure for a few days, and then we're gonna hit it with a rubberized coating, either something like black fluid film or a sound dampening rubberized undercoating. So follow along. Yeah. So it's been a few days now since we finished up coating the frame and all the cross members and any of the heavier components of the truck with the Rust Check Rust Paint Gloss Black. Now everything is dried and cured, and we are ready for our next step, which is going to be black fluid film. I think I mentioned earlier that I was planning on putting a rubberized coating on the truck. That's something that I put on my other truck when I bought it, and it's worked really well. But I think that product is probably best suited for a newer frame, something that's already painted, coated, and has no rust at all. My concern is that the rubberized membrane all seals to itself really well, but if water gets in behind it anywhere, or if rust does, it will kind of create a bit of a pocket and like a balloon effect where things can fester and grow behind that without you really being able to see. It doesn't peel and flake off like a paint would if there's rust. The fluid film I've always used on a lot of our farm equipment and construction equipment pretty successfully. It's more of a wax coating. It will slowly fade. It's something you have to coat every couple of years. But I think it does a good job covering everything, giving it a really nice black look, and protecting things from rock chips, from rust, from just general, debris on the road, gravel. I've always had success with it. I know a lot of people talk negatively about it. There's probably some better systems that can be used, but I think with how we've done things with the rust converter, the rust paint, and now the fluid film, I think we're going to be in a pretty good position on the truck. So thank you guys so much for watching. We got 4 full cans of the fluid film black on the truck right now. I've got 1 more can I'm going to use for some touch-ups tomorrow once this is settled up a little bit and you can kind of see the dry spots that I might have missed. And then I'll give you guys an update in about a year and see how it was holding up. It should be about a 2-year product. The hope was with the rust paint below the fluid film, that'd be as simple as just touching up the fluid film every few years. But time will tell and we'll keep you guys updated. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. So why did we buy this truck? This is a 98 GMC Sierra 1500. It's the last of the GMT square body OBS trucks. And in my opinion, one of the prettiest generations of GM truck that they've ever made. My dad actually had a 97 single cab sport side back when I was a kid. Unfortunately, we didn't get to keep that truck. So this body style and this generation has always had a bit of a soft spot for me, and been something that I've always really wanted to have myself. But they're hard to find in Canada in good shape without too many miles on it. This thing has 200,000 kilometers on it, so it's not nothing, but it's also not very high for what these trucks are capable of. I've seen many of them over 400, 500,000 kilometers. So arguably in some ways, if you're looking at mileage as the main indicator of its life, it's only at the halfway mark. So a lot of life left in it. But otherwise, our other truck, which you've seen in probably previous videos, is a 2017 Silverado 2500 Duramax, and that truck's been a really good truck for us. We got a lot of miles on it now, and we don't plan on getting rid of that anytime soon. That's our main family hauler, our main work truck, main workhorse for us. It's really good. One of the things I don't like about it though is mechanically it's not too challenging to work on, but the electronics are crazy, and every time that we have a problem with it, I can only end up doing 3/4 of the repair myself. I end up having to bring it into GM for something. And that's something I wanted to avoid with our next vehicle, especially with interest rates being what they are right now. It didn't make sense for us to buy something brand new. So we're like, hey, what can we afford? Our budget, obviously, as you can see, wasn't huge, so we landed on another pickup truck because I thought it'd be good for us here in the winters. It is a 4x4, good for me for commuting. It is the 5.7, the last one in this generation of trucks. Which some people might say is quite inefficient on fuel, but if you're used to driving pickup trucks, it's really not that bad. I'm getting about 600 kilometers to a tank. It's a 90-liter tank, so it's really not too unaffordable for commuting. It's all highway miles that I'm putting on it anyways, but for me, the extra money in fuel far outweighs the safety aspect of things. Or sorry, the safety aspect far outweighs the cost of fuel. I'd rather have something solid, reliable, got some weight behind it, good in the snow, and can still do chores and errands for us, because oftentimes me and my wife are going separate ways and one of us has to pick up feed or has to pick up some materials, pull a trailer, whatever it is that we have to do, and it sucks when we've only got one truck and we've got to drive all the other way across town and do what we got to do. So this way, wherever each of us is, we can always handle any chore that's thrown at us. Plus I love driving trucks, so can't beat that. I think we'll do a more in-depth review on it because this truck is kind of interesting. It's got a few neat features to it that weren't super common. It is a Z71. It's got the G80 rear locker, and it's got the heavy half option, which is pretty cool. So it's a 6-lug axles, heavier rear springs, a little bit bigger brake than what came on most of this generation truck. So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty good find. One owner, farmer driven. It was his father's chore truck, so it wasn't really worked very hard. Maybe pulled a couple of implements to the field and back, but for the most part he was just putting around in it. And when his father passed away, the truck's been in his shop now for 2 years. It was a bit of an emotional sale for them. But when they finally did put it up for sale, we saw it right away on Marketplace and threw them an offer immediately, and they accepted, and here we are.